Today, I have my hair crazy, and guess what? I'm okay. I just woke up not long ago. I woke up like this. um, so, what I want to talk about today is self love. I know I have mentioned it, but self love is extremely important because when you don't have self love, you do very dumb and foolish decisions. I know from experience. When there's no self love, you're constantly worrying about what other people think, you know. Uh, for instance, I'm going to use an example. Let me see, I'm trying to think of one. um, oh, okay, a good one. When I used to work in the warehouse, um, I must admit I wasn't too proud of it. I was still in the healthcare field, and God works in mysterious ways because that's what helped me get my foot in the door to work in the hospital. Anyways, um, going back to what I was saying, um, I wasn't proud of it. I really wasn't. Um, I know people would ask me like when I went to parties or gatherings. I didn't go to a lot. I act like I went to a whole bunch of parties, but people ask me, "Oh, what do you do for a living or where you work?" And I will kind of, hesitate to say I work in a warehouse. And then the next question would be, "Do you like it?" And I would hesitate. I'm like, mm. you know, that's low self-esteem. And the reason and how I found out it was low self-esteem because I had a ex from the past contact me, and when I told him I work at the warehouse, he started, putting me down. Well, you know English, and this and that. How come you not working somewhere better? This and that. Anybody with high self-esteem would have said, would have defended themselves, would have, not. In that time, I was already looking because me and a coworker, we were in competition of who will find a job faster or trying to motivate each other to find a new job. But when he told me that, it was even more motivation to find a new job. And like I said, that comes from low self esteem because someone with high self esteem, it could be McDonald's, it could be cleaning toilets, it could be, um, you know, anything. And they will say, no, this is where I work. And they will be proud of it. Not like me that I was kind of hesitant about working there. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but like I said, because of low self esteem, I wasn't proud of it. Also, I once read, I believe it was from Maria Shriver, and one of the books that she wrote, um, that never feel like you're too above a job because that job can help you out in the future. And it is so true, you know? Because, like I mentioned, those two warehouse jobs helped me get in, get to work in the hospital, because I was, it happened accidentally, like I didn't think much of it. I wanted a break from the home health, and it just so happened I worked at Cardinal Health, and I knew somebody there that worked at not only Cardinal Health warehouse but Baycare. And he told me, you know what, you should work for the Baycare warehouse. So I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, sure. I'll try that one out. And next thing I knew, without no, like, I didn't put much thought into it. I was like, okay, I'll work over there. And then it took me a long time, but 2 years later, I then applied for the PCT position. And because I was already in the company, that's how they gave me a chance to actually do an interview. So, yes, I agree with Maria Shriver. Never think that you're too above a job, because that job can help you get to the job you actually want. Also, I no longer ask people what they do for a living. I don't like to ask that question because of how I used to feel. And I remember, because I like to also look up, frugal living with other people. Um, and one of them, it was from this video of, was that a video, or I probably read it, one or the other. But this person that came from Italian descent, and she said that she remembers that her family, every time they got introduced to somebody, they never ever asked them what they did for a living. They just say, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" They talk about anything but that. And I once read, I believe it was from Keanu Reeves, that people would ask what you do to, as a way of, so they can calculate the level of respect they will give you. And it's really sad that that does happen. I think we should all stop that. Just treat others with love and respect, not because of where they work, but because they're a human being.